So have a look at your feet. So first things first, how are you standing in your feet? Where is the body weight? Now, for some of us, the body weight is forwards into the toes. And for some of us, the body weight is way back in the heels. And there's not a lot of toes to be felt at all. So just have a notice for yourself, whether you stand front or whether you stand back. Now, the accompanying movement to this is the lovely knees. Now, for most of us, we are serial knee lockers. We love to lock the knees out. And there's a really simple reason for this, because if I lock my knees, I don't need to hold myself up through my tummy anymore. And I can sink down into the joints. And this isn't standing up, this is standing down. It loads the joints heavily, which is why it's not useful, and it's something that we want to eliminate. Now, once upon a time, I was a serial knee locker. I always did it. It was so habitual, I didn't even know that I did it. I didn't even know it was there. I would work with my teacher and she would say, unlock your knees. And I hadn't even noticed that they were thrown back through the joint. So for many, many months, in fact, because the knee locking was quite, so dire, I kept the knees really, really soft. And every time I worked with my teacher, and I'm not going to be as mean to you as she was to me back in those days, I had my knees really, really soft, because if this to you feels normal, then just taking the knees out of their locking pattern is going to feel like this. So I suggest you have a look in a long mirror if you can, and just notice where your knee joints are. And that will help you to then start to shift where you stand in your feet. So if you're back in your heels and your knees are locked back, the chances are your head is coming forwards, because something's got to stop you from falling on your bottom. So we're going to soften the knees and then just work with noticing where the body weight is in the feet. And you'll feel that this helps you to start to pull up through the pelvic floor, pull up through those central core muscles that we've been talking about over the weeks together. And let your breath come in. Now, the next thing that we want to look at is the alignment of your feet. So if you close your eyes and put your feet straight with the toes and heels in line, just so that that's what they feel completely straight to you, and then open your eyes and have a look at where your feet actually are. And you might be a little bit surprised here, because you might find that what feels like straight when you look at your feet is actually, and this is quite extreme, so don't worry about it too much if it's just a little bit. But what we might find is that the feet are out. Or you might find completely the opposite. You might find that the toes are facing in towards each other. And what we want to do is, with the eyes, set the feet, toes and heels in line, with the knees bent, and then close your eyes again. And notice how that feels. Now, it might feel like the toes are looking in towards each other, or it might feel that the toes are going out to the sides, but that's okay. And if you have got both feet or one foot, so my old movement pattern, if I can still do it, I'm sure it's still locked in my brain somewhere, is some lovely dropped arches, as you can see, with a knee facing in. But this foot that I assure you felt absolutely perfectly straight, the shock I got when I looked down and found that the foot was all the way out to the side. And this is proprioception. Proprioception is the messages that your body sends back to your brain about where you are in space. Now, if we are in an arrangement that is, this arrangement for my body was supportive, because I was a bit wobbly on the right side because of lots of surgery. So I threw the body weight over to the left. Now you can't throw the body weight over to the left if there's nothing out here to lean on. So my brain had taken it upon itself to turn the foot out and give me something to lean on. And I'd done that for so long. What I now had was a skewed proprioceptive message. And the skewing was that this foot is straight. Very, very easy to rectify this problem. You just put your feet straight. You use your eyes, toes and heels in line, soften the knees, and then you clean your teeth. So when I was working with this before, I was trying to think of a time when we have to stay still or stand still. And of course, the best time, 2 minutes in the morning, 2 minutes in the evening when you have to go into the bathroom and clean your teeth. So this is the very lovely teeth cleaning pose. Toes and heels in line, doesn't matter what it feels like because we distract the brain with the toothbrush. We're so busy cleaning our teeth that the brain doesn't have time to look down at the feet and say, hey, hang on a second, this doesn't feel right. And 14 days, 21 days, something like that, and you'll find that the proprioception will reset itself and you'll be able to put your feet straight. So it's a practice, not a perfect, so keep coming back to that one. So lovely teeth cleaning pose, and that helps us to get our feet in order. Now the next thing that we have is with the landscape of the foot, just become aware of your feet, notice how your feet feel on the ground, and just notice if the inner or outer edge of your foot is heaviest. Now, for many of us, the feet roll in and the arches drop. Now, when back in the day when I used to work in studios with people, it was great fun. It was my old party trick. People would come in and I would say to the room, has anybody got flat feet? Now, flat feet is a real label. I mean, it's not a label. It's like a concrete block. Once you give somebody the concrete block that tells them that they've got flat feet, that's it. It's a finishing move. There's no such thing as flat feet. I'm going to throw that out there to you right now. There is only inappropriate weight distribution through the feet. Your feet are very small bones and very large muscles, long strips of thick, dense muscle and ligamentous material. It's another food analogy coming up, so there's a big warning on that. But you know when you take your chicken drumstick to pieces and you've got that one muscle with the really thick tendinous end to it, the one that you don't eat, that's what your feet look like on the inside. These thick tendinous, you wouldn't eat that. Not that you would eat humans anyway, but anyway. So those tissues are designed for work. They are designed to mold themselves to your environment, the ground, and they are designed to support the body in movement. That's what they're for. So when we drop down through the arches, the feet tend to roll in, the knees will follow, and unfortunately what happens is the pelvic floor tends to go with it, and then the low spine as well. So either the low spine drops forwards or the low spine rounds out and drops downwards. Either way, we've got this collapsing through the feet. And a lot of the time when we've got a bad back or we've got back pain, we don't go to the site there to try and fix it. We can do exercises to support it, but the actual root cause of the issue is down in the feet. So if we change the feet, that shifts the movement pattern. We've got lovely supportive feet. Then the spine is allowed to retain the spaciousness that we've created, retain that upward lift, and retain that muscle tone with a little less effort. So how do we do that? We set the feet and then we find the outer edges of the heels and the big toe joint. So your big toe joint is like a big marble. And we want to feel the long little toe side and the outer side of the heel. And what I want you to do is, just like Philip the giraffe, we pull down into the outer edges of the heels. Now you might find as you do that, the feet roll onto their outer edges and the big toe joints come off the floor. And that's okay, because we're going to stretch through the feet and pull the big toe joints down to the ground. And what you'll find if you look down now is that we've got lovely arches. Now it is a practice, not a perfect, so take your time with it, and just keep playing around with that landscape of the foot. It's so important. As I say, nothing is right or wrong, but it is interesting to notice. Notice where the body weight is, forwards or back. Notice where we maybe are heavier in the feet, outer sides or inner edges. And can we just take a little bit of time to rebalance that? And then finally, do we stand more heavily in one side than the other? And just have a play with that. Now you've done the rebalancing protocol laying on the floor, and this is exactly the same. Do you stand, now this is my other personal favourite, this is called supermarket pose. So all the way into the left leg, nice knee locked in there, so I don't have to do anything. I just hang out at the top, stick my supermarket basket on my elbow. Ladies who have had babies, yes, there used to be a baby here too. So a lot of the time we get into those habitual movement patterns, and then the baby's not a baby anymore, the baby is 27. So when that's happened, we want to notice that habit that we've inadvertently got into and then iron that out. So supermarket pose, but actually supermarket is a great place. We're standing in the queue, it's very boring, we're trying not to look at the chocolate on the end of the aisle, but we can actually bring our awareness, bring our attention into our bodies, into the feet. Are my feet hip width apart? Are they toes and heels in line? Am I standing equally through the landscape of the foot? And can I stand equally on both sides? So I haven't got one foot that's heavier than the other. So have a try with that. That's your tech session for this week. Come back and rewatch this video as much as you need to. Have a play around with your own balance. As I say, you can't do it wrong, but it is interesting to notice what happens. Where do you move your body weight to cause the knees to lock in? Where do you set your feet to cause the body weight to be on one side rather than the other? So have a play with that, and I'll see you in the exercise sessions.